Hi, hello, and welcome to another session on data communications and networks. In today's session, we'll see the various layers in the OSI model. So let's get started. So these are the various layers in the OSI model. We have the physical layer, the data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and the application layer. We'll see all of these layers in detail. The first one is the physical layer. This physical layer, it coordinates the functions required to carry a bit stream over a physical medium. It also deals with the mechanical and electrical specifications of the interface and the transmission medium. It also defines the procedures and functions that the devices and interfaces have to perform for the transmission to occur. So this is the diagram of a physical layer. The data comes from the data link layer to the physical layer at the transmitting end. From the physical layer, it goes to the transmission medium, and at the receiving end, the data again goes to the physical layer. From there, it goes back to the data link layer. So these are some of the features of the physical layer. The physical layer, it defines the physical characteristics of interfaces and medium. It is also responsible for the movements of individual bits. It consists of a stream of bits, that is zeros or ones, which are to be transmitted. So these bits are to be encoded into electrical or optical form. So the data rate is the rate at which the number of bits are transmitted per second. The sender and receiver must use the same bit rate, and also they have to be synchronized at the bit level. The physical layer is concerned with the connection of devices to the media. So if you take the point-to-point configuration, two devices are connected through a dedicated link, whereas in a multi-point configuration, a link is shared among several devices. The physical topology defines how the devices are connected to make a network. So devices can be connected by using a mesh topology, or a star topology, or a ring topology, bus topology, or even hybrid topology can be used. The physical layer also defines the direction of transmission between two devices. So this transmission mode can be simplex, half duplex, or full duplex. So in simplex mode, only one device can transmit and other can only receive, whereas in half duplex, both the devices can transmit as well as receives, but not at the same time. Whereas in full duplex, both the devices can transmit and receive at the same time. The second is the data link layer. So this data link layer, it transforms the physical layer to a reliable link. It also makes the physical layer appear error-free to the upper layer, which is the network layer. You can see the diagram of a data link layer. So from the network layer, the data comes to the data link layer. From there, it goes to the physical layer. And at the receiving end, the data goes from the physical layer to the data link layer. From there, it goes to the network layer. So these are some of the features of a data link layer. The data link layer divides a stream of bits received from the network layer into data units. These data units are known as the frames. So these frames are to be distributed to different systems on the network. So the data link layer adds a header to the frame, to define the sender or receiver of the frame. If the rate at which the data is absorbed by the receiver is less than the rate at which the data is transmitted at the sender, now the data link layer, what does it do? It will impose a flow control mechanism. The data link layer, it also adds reliability to the physical layer by adding error control mechanism. So this error control is achieved by adding a trailer to the end of the frame. Access control. Now here, when two or more devices are connected to the same link, data link layer protocols are used which determine which device has control over the link at any given time. So these are some of the features of a data link layer. So this is the hop-to-hop delivery in the data link layer. So from the figure we can see that the communication at the data link layer occurs between two adjacent nodes to transmit the data from A to F. Three partial deliveries are made. First, the data link layer at A, it sends a frame to the data link layer at B. Here B is a router. Then the data link layer at B sends a new frame to the at E. Now finally, the data link layer at E sends a new frame to the data link layer at F. The frame from B to E has E as the destination address and B as the source address, and F has the destination address and E as the source address. The next one is the network layer. So this is responsible for source to destination delivery of a packet across multiple networks. So the network layer also ensures that each packet gets from its origin to its final destination. So you can see the diagram of a network layer. From the transport layer, the data is transferred to the network layer, and from there it goes to the data link layer at the transmitting end. And at the receiving end, the data goes from the data link layer to the network layer. From there it goes to the transport layer. Some other responsibilities of the network layer are logical addressing and routing. So the physical addressing, which is implemented by the data link layer, it handles the addressing problem locally. So for example, if a packet passes the network boundary, we need another addressing system to distinguish the source and the destination systems. So the network layer, what does it do? It adds a header to the packet coming from the upper layer. Now in this routing, when independent networks or links are connected to create internetworks or a large network, the connecting devices they are also called as routers or switches. They route or switch the packets to their final destination. So these are some other responsibilities of the network layer. You can see the diagram of a source to destination delivery. So in the diagram here we have a source to destination delivery. The network layer at A sends the packet to the network layer at B. When the packet arrives at the router B, the router, it makes a decision based on the final destination F of the packet. So here router B, it uses its routing table to find that the next hop is the router at E. So therefore the network layer at B, it sends the packet to the network layer at E. The network layer at E finally sends the packet to the network layer at F. So this is how a source to destination delivery is made. Then we have the transport layer. This is responsible for process to process delivery of the entire message. Now here the process means that an application which is running on a host. The transport layer also ensures that the whole message arrives intact and in proper order. So this is the diagram of a transport layer. The data comes from the session layer to the transport layer, and from there it goes to the network layer at the transmitting end. At the receiving end, data goes from the network layer to the transport layer, and from there it goes to the session layer. Some other responsibilities of the transport layer. So the first one is the service point addressing. So computers often run several programs at the same time. So because of this, the source to destination delivery means delivery not only from one computer to another, but also from one specific process to the another specific process. So that is service point addressing. Then we have the segmentation and reassembly. So in this, a message is divided into transmittable segments. So each segment consists a sequence number. These sequence numbers enable the transport layer to reassemble the message correctly upon arriving at the destination. The next is the connection control. The transport layer can be either a connectionless or a connection oriented. So connectionless transport, it treats each segment as an independent packet, whereas a connection oriented transport makes connection with the transport layer at the destination machine before delivering the packets. Then we have the flow control. The transport layer is also responsible for the flow control. In the error control, the transport layer is responsible for error control. This error control is performed from process to process. Next we have the session layer. The earlier services which were provided by the first three layers, that is the physical layer, data link layer and network layer, they are not sufficient for some processes. So the session layer, it is the network dialog controller. It establishes, maintains and synchronizes the interaction between the communication systems. So some more specific responsibilities of the session layer include dialog control and synchronization. So in dialog control, the session layer allows two systems to enter into a dialogue. So it also allows the communication between two processes to take place either in half duplex mode or in full duplex mode. So under synchronization, the session layer, it allows a process to add checkpoints to a continuous stream of data. So for example, if a system is sending a file of some 1000 pages, so it is advisable to insert checkpoints after every 100 pages. So this is to ensure that each 100 page unit is received and acknowledged independently. Suppose there is some crash during the transmission at page 622. The only pages that need to be resent after recovery are the pages from 401 to 422. The previous pages need not be sent. So this is the responsibility of the session layer. You can see the diagram of a session layer. The data comes from the presentation layer to the session layer. From there it goes to the transport layer at the transmitting end. Similarly, at the receiving end, the data goes from the transport layer to the session layer, and from there it goes to the presentation layer. So the next layer is the presentation layer. So this is concerned with the syntax and semantics of the information exchanged between two systems. You can see the diagram of a presentation layer. The data comes from the application layer to the presentation layer. From there it goes to the session layer. So this takes place at the transmitting end, while at the receiving end the data goes from the session layer to the presentation layer, and from there it goes to the application layer. Some specific responsibilities of the presentation layer are translation, encryption and compression. So in translation, the processes which are the running programs, they are usually exchanging information in the form of strings, characters, numbers and etc. So this information must be exchanged to bit streams before being transmitted. So conversion of these characters, strings into bits of ones and zeros is done by the presentation layer. Then we have the encryption. So to carry sensitive information, a system must be able to ensure privacy. That means whatever data is transmitted by the sender, it has to be reached to the destination. So if encryption is done, the original information can be transmitted in another form to the destination. So at the receiving end, decryption is also used, which reverses the process of encryption to transform the message back to its original form. Then we have the compression. So compression is done to reduce the number of bits contained in an information. So this compression is very important while transmitting text files, audio files or video files as the storage space is reduced. Then we have the application layer. So this application layer, it enables the user, whether it is human or a software, to access the network. It also provides user interfaces and support for services. So this is the diagram of an application layer. At the transmitting end, the user, which is usually a human or a program, it transmits to the application layer. From there, the data goes to the presentation layer. And at the receiving end, the data goes from the presentation layer to the application layer. From there, it goes back to the user, which is again a human or a program. So these are some of the specific services provided by the application layer. Network virtual terminal. So this is a software version of a physical terminal. It allows a user to log on to a remote host. File transfer, access and management. So this application allows a user to access the files in a remote host and to retrieve files from a remote control computer for use in a local computer. Then we have the mail services. This provides the basis for email forwarding and storage. Then we have the directory services. This application provides the distributed database sources and access for global information about various objects and services. So these are all the 7 layers in the OSI model. So that's all in this session. Thank you.